Hey everybody, welcome back to the About to Break podcast, the show where we talk to artists and entertainers about trying to break into the industry before it breaks you. Today on the show, from Magic for Humans, we have Justin Willman. All right, everybody, time to check in. It's Wednesday, week 6 in Los Angeles of self-quarantine, of staying safe, staying at home. How y'all doing? I'm going to be honest with you. Today I feel pretty positive. Yesterday, not so much. I go back and forth. I go from being incredibly encouraged to just deep, deep despair. And you know what? You're probably there too. It's what we're all going through. But the reality is we're not going through it alone. That's what this show's all about. On the show today, Justin Willman. We talk about all sorts of stuff. This is really cool. You know, I've known Justin for years. Not super close, but we've done shows together, and obviously I've seen the amazing work that he's done. I've used him as an example for years of the right way to build a career, you know, as far as really building an audience. And so we talk about that. We talk about his Netflix show. We talk about his new baby. He's got a 19-month-old. And we just talk about all things quarantine, as we're all doing right now. I want to take a moment and thank everybody who's been supporting the show through Patreon. Thank you for supporting us through Patreon. For $1 or more a month, you can be a producer of this show. It really makes a difference and helps keep groceries on the table while all this nonsense is going on. Also, I want to let you know that the music you're listening to and all the music you're going to hear on the show today is from an album called Show Sounds that I put out for performers. Royalty-free music you can use on your live streams, on your virtual shows. If you want to check that out, go to taylorhughes.com/show sounds. But folks, we've got a really, really great show lined up for you all week long. I'm going to be posting some new episodes. We've got great conversations with comedians and actors and magicians. But let's get into this right away. Enjoy it. Justin Willman.
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
Something is about to break.
We finally talked.
We're doing something. I know.
For giving me a win for my Thursday.
I know, man. I swear every day I feel like I'm going to accomplish so much today. Like today's going to be the day that I just get so much. And then I'm just busy like making food for the kids and cleaning up. And you have a baby.
I got a baby, man. I can't just give him an iPad or a book and let him do his thing. If I turn my back, he will die.
How old is he now?
16 months.
Okay. So he's very
Remember
mobile.
that?
Yeah, I do, man. This is the season where he's like climbing a lot. Is he doing climbing?
He's climbing. He's trying to climb the coffee table. He's trying to climb everything. And then we've got 2 dogs, and he's obsessed with when they poop, trying to get to the poop before us.
Perfect.
Because it's just like this thing that he's never been allowed to examine. You know, he observes us rush over and bag it up. So he's like, "Why? It must be great.
It must be important. If Mom and Dad are saving it." Yeah. So there's that, but it's also a blast. Every day is, a whole new skill, something new he can do that's fun to watch. So it's wild that he's at a point, he's not going to remember any of this.
No,
he'll only know whatever the world ends up looking like now.
He'll remember Mom and Dad were around a lot.
Isn't that cool?
It's pretty cool.
That's a bright side, man. That's really encouraging.
Because last year, I was gone a lot, and it's very painful when, an entire day or a couple days pass where you don't even see him when he's awake.
Right.
And then when you see him again, you're like, he's bigger. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, and when they're at that age too, I travel a lot, and when my kids were little, gosh, man, you like a week is like so much happens within a week time, A
week is hard. And it's also really hard then leaving my wife to be the full-time parent while I'm gone. So I feel like I'm finally paying back my karma, doing the 6 a.m.s every morning. And it's the least I can do for an entire year of pawning them off during the tough times. Yeah.
You got to have moments where you miss performing right now. How's that been?
I'm trying to think if I do miss performing. I mean,
or are you just enjoying this moment so much, just being present?
I mean, I did, the shows that I had on the books, like I was definitely looking forward to doing them and looking forward to going to these places. I don't miss walking on stage. I mean, like, I don't miss what I enjoy is this little treat. I mean, I'm kind of in the headspace of trying to see the silver lining, and that's just the way it is. So I kind of am not thinking of the otherwise. I mean, I do miss the financial security. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty what's going to happen.
Right.
I think our industry especially is going to be one of the last ones to reopen. So it's kind of like, how long is this going to be? So it might get to a panic state in a month or two where it's like, we're running out. We're running out. What are we going to do?
I talked to my mom this morning. She's like, I just can't wait till we can all get back out there and start doing stuff. And I realized in that moment, the minute we all go out and start doing stuff as performers, we're still not going out and doing stuff. There's going to be this weird moment where it's like, do we do shows? Do we not do shows? Like, if someone asks you to, are you going to do it? Like, I don't know. I mean,
I had someone on Monday email me. They were like, our son's a fan. It's his 10th birthday. We live in Burbank. Can we hire you to do a social distancing show on the sidewalk? And we'll watch from our front yard. And even that, like, I felt like, it feels weird, because also it's like, one, I have to do a very weird, different show.
Yeah. You don't normally do 10-year-old
like, it's the same show I would do via Zoom for them.
Right.
And then it's like, I don't know if I can trust children to get why we're doing these parameters, and we've been pretty tight with the quarantine. Yeah. So I sent a little birthday vid instead.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird, especially I think for us out here in California. I feel like, we might be gigging it up more in kind of the rural Midwest, the states where they're not even taking this seriously now.
Oh my gosh, man! I saw yesterday people like pounding on doors of businesses trying to get them to open. Like, whew.
Yeah, when has that worked?
It's that logic of like, hey, this is, it seems like we're handling this pretty well, so let's stop doing the things that are working. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, maybe you be the guy to ask. Maybe transitioning to gospel magic is the way to go, because churches are going to open as soon as possible.
Man, I always said if I wanted to do this for the money, I would have stayed in the ministry.
Yeah,
that's where all the dough is.
It's an essential business.
Those guys are still making plenty of coin.
Pay taxes. It's perfect.
Oh my gosh, man. Oh yeah. A different life. It's crazy to think. I was like coming up on like 7 years, 6.5, 7 years. I left the church. 5 minutes in, and we're talking about church ministry.
Yeah. What does that normally only happen at the 45-minute mark?
It normally only happens with people who have and also have like a significant story with the church. Like, things didn't go so well for them either. It tends to be a pattern. Yeah.
I don't have that.
Did you grow up? Were you like
I grew up in the church.
Did you go youth group and all that?
I did. I went to K-Life in St. Louis, Missouri. I went to Kanakuk and Kanakomo summer camp.
Oh my gosh, man. Summer camp.
Yeah. And that was, that's pretty hardcore Christian sports camp for maybe 5 or 6 years. As an elementary school, junior high kid. Yeah. Grew up in the Scouts as well. And then, went, kind of Sunday school every Sunday. It's interesting because my parents, it seemed like they would always, church was a part of our lives and our routine, not because they would never talk about church or Christianity or it was almost like it was just, we think this is something that is good for you and us. And people seem to get a lot out of this. This is what we're doing. Okay. But outside of when Sunday school was over, there was not talk about church.
Like that didn't come into the house.
It didn't bleed into life. Yeah.
That's wild. So, was there a moment? I mean, if you don't want to talk about this, we don't have to. But was there a moment when you were like, I don't really think that's something that I need anymore? Or when did
I think I kind of phased out of going regularly in high school, and I don't know if there was ever a thing that happened. I think maybe like gradually being exposed to, just gradually being in high school, gradually being exposed to other trains of thoughts and, atheists and agnostics, like not, like hearing them out and hearing that side of things. And they're not, it's not like coming from evil people, like you're warned it's going to be.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. And so there wasn't like a hard turn away from the church. It was just kind of a gradual phase and a fizzle. I was never like anti-church.
Yeah. And
I mean, for me, it's one of the few things in my life that was ever kind of like a constant community type thing outside of school.
Right. Yeah. That is the one thing, like, especially when you're a kid growing up, it's like an instant connection in relationship. It's like you go to this place and there's a bunch of kids your age who are into stuff you're into. And it's also was like, for me, like I still say church was my open mic. Like it was the one place you could get up and do a really shitty performance and everyone was cool. Like no one was going to be mean for the most part. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think I ever did magic in church that I can remember, but church and Sunday school and summer camp was when I was actually introduced to music. Like I can't remember ever my parents playing an album or anything for me, but then every Sunday and every K-Life, it's always, the dudes with the guitars. And it was like, wow, we're rocking out, we're singing. So that was a big, bonus for me. It was like, oh yeah, music exists.
There was always
a good thing.
Oh yeah, man. There was always like at least one dude who had like guitar, like in a holster, like just walking around with it at summer camp. He's like, he's trying to pick up the ladies with his acoustic
cool
guitar.
Counselor.
The cool. So you didn't do magic at all when you were in church? Like when did you start doing magic? I said that like it's a weird thing. Like usually magic and church go together, right?
I know. I started when I was 12 or 13 years old, but I must have gotten up in K-Life at some point and done like, when they kind of have the little talent showdown. And
Right.
But I kind of was a little bit of an in the closet magician for those first couple of years. Like I would go to magic competitions. I had a dove act, like I was doing kids' birthday parties, but I wasn't like fully outed in every social group, because I wasn't so confident in it yet.
That's interesting, man. I've always been, I feel like there's a certain type of magician that is just always on. And you meet comedians like this too, but magicians, like there's the guy who like, even pros who like, they see you and they want to show you a card trick. I've never been that guy. Like, did you ever have a moment where you were like constantly busting out cards and doing stuff when you were a kid? Or?
It was always by request.
Okay.
Or someone saw me fiddling or practicing and it was by request. So like
you didn't have a t-shirt that said, ask me about magic.
Ask me about magic. But I did always have like a deck of cards, thumb tip and Mismade Bill on me. Probably had my color changing knives throughout all of junior high and high school. So I was always ready, like the whole Jeff McBride was the first lecturer I ever saw. I was probably 14. He came through St. Louis and it was something that really hit me just about, always being prepared, his whole the gorilla act, and I kind of took to that of like, if someone asks you to do magic and you can't, you suck.
Yeah.
Man,
like just always being, I remember that gorilla act thing. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because I remember,
think about that a lot.
You think about the gorilla act?
The gorilla act, like just, because he had very strict parameters, you need to be able to perform without a sound system to music if necessary. One bag can be performed in the round, and you kind of sometimes obviously have to make compromises here and there, but I always thought about that. And I, like when I got to the point where lately, if I have to do a show, I can travel carry on only, sometimes I'll bring extra stuff for a theater show, but that's one of the, I take great pride in, like, all right, Jeff would be proud. I'm just carrying it on. I got everything I need. Yeah.
Gosh, I remember watching like Thanksgiving, they always put out World's Greatest Magic. And we'd always be at my grandmother's house in Oregon. And I would just be like, that was the one time that I was like, nobody get near the TV. Because you were going to see this stuff that you didn't see. Like as kids, we didn't have all the like DVDs and all that stuff to watch magic tricks and learn how to do stuff. But man,
that's the show that I learned how to like record on a VCR for. Like I watched that over and over and over.
Yeah.
You know, and would study Greg Fruin's act and Jason Byrne and, you know, Jeff Hobson, Michael Finney, like those guys, like indelible marks. Cause I remember thinking back, like, because the sets, their performances on those shows just seemed like perfect, flawless. And I would always aspire to, I mean, they were almost frustratingly good. Cause I'm like, how do you have one shot and do 6 minutes and it's perfect like that? You know?
Yeah.
Now knowing they probably did it a couple times and
right.
used multiple angles and the best of all. But yeah, those were great.
Even then though, like the production level of it, like even some magic on TV today, not Magic for Humans, but some magic on TV today, you look at it and you're like, have we not figured out how to shoot this? Like,
yeah. I think we both know what show we're talking about here. Yeah, they did it well. Gary Ouellette, you know, like
yeah, man,
they did it up great. I miss those shows. I don't know, and I think it would hold up if you kind of brought back that format, you know, where it's on stage, it's at a little close-up table. You got Matt King by the pool teaching a trick, like
right?
it was well done.
There's not much like that now. You know, there's you get little snippets like on Fool Us and things like that. You'll see one guy do a routine, or you know, one performer do something that is like a portion of their act. But
oh man, now I just remembered. Was it who made the helicopter appear? Was it Dirk Arthur?
Yeah, and he spun it around. He spun that cabinet around. Yeah.
And then Topaz with the sunglasses and the guitar.
Yeah, and the guitars and the bells. He did that thing with the bells.
The bells.
I remember
that might not hold up. Topaz's act. Hello. Hello. Very 80s. Yeah.
I love all the music that like is just burned into our memory. Like if you played a song, we'd go like David Copperfield elevator appearance. You know,
right? Or Greg Fruin Dove act.
Dun, oh yeah. Dun 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 dun. Yeah. Dun 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 dun
dun dun dun. Yeah, Cirque du Soleil, right? That was early one. Good stuff.
When I was a kid, we would watch those shows, and then I didn't know like you were supposed to like come up with an act. I just went like, oh, I'm gonna go learn Topaz's act, and I literally went to Joanne Fabric and like bought all these bells. I was like just a kid, just like playing with bells in my grandmother's living room. I'm sure that why did you commit me?
I also spent a lot of time at fabric stores and Michael's Crafts, because I was, to do the Dove acts and to try to learn how to make blendos and stuff. Like, it's interesting the ancillary the talents you get as a kid magician when you have to DIY everything.
Yeah, people always want to know what the secret is, and if they realized how much of it was like rubber cement and like envelopes. Magicians love envelopes, man.
I love envelopes.
Magicians, we love envelopes. We love luggage. Like my wife will catch me, like we'll be at a store and I'll just be looking at suitcases. She's like, you have 20 suitcases. You're not going to find a new perfect suitcase,
and also small luggage that goes in bigger luggage.
Yeah.
So small little cases and gear bags.
Dude, I was impressed. We did a show at Meltdown once. And you rolled in, you had this tiny little like Toomey bag, and you opened it up and it was like, brrr, and you had like all the crap in compartments. It was so organized. It was just so perfect.
I must have done a recent spring cleaning on it. But yeah, I can't remember who I learned that hanging bag. Oh, that was, you know who it was? It was Amazing Jonathan. Anastasia, I saw like they were backstage and I saw how she had his stuff organized. Because she's like, you don't always have a table. And I was like, you don't always have a table. So it was like a jewelry hanging bag with all the stuff there.
It was brilliant, man.
Yeah, thank you.
You're a magician, you're a host, but you're also very like infused into like the stand-up community variety world. Was there a moment where you're like, I'm going to start doing more actual stand-up with magic versus just like a comedy magic act? Do you know what I mean? Like I remember there was a moment, we never talked about this, but I remember a moment where I was like, oh, Justin's doing a lot of like comedy clubs. Was that like an intentional, like, I want to do this because?
Yeah, a couple crucial moments. Like my roommate, I did my second semester of my senior year out here in LA. I went to Emerson College and they've got an internship program. So my best friend, who I live with at the Oakwoods, is Dan Levy, who's a great comedian. He started doing stand-up in Stamford, Connecticut when he was like 13. So we had a lot in common in that we were like young, kind of young overachievers in magic and comedy. And then, so we kind of bonded over that. And when we moved to LA, like I didn't have any gigs yet. I was trying to market myself to do kids' birthdays and stuff. but he would bring me along with him to all these open mics, you know? And I think, I never had that. I think magicians especially often have this mentality where I'm not going to go perform unless I'm getting paid, you know, like it's I gig. I don't go do shows for free, you know? And you know, like we just get infused in that kind of mindset that we are.
It's one of the few things that like you can be making pretty decent money and not be that good yet.
Correct.
Like you can't do that. Magicians, you can't do that.
I was like, I won't leave the house for X number of dollars.
Yeah,
stuff, you know? And so like I kind of overcame that because he was like, no, we're gonna go do open mic and like Kevin Hart's here, you know, and Gary Goldman, like, and I was like, oh, they're all here, and none of these huge guys are getting paid. They're just here to work out. Right. Okay, so that was like the beginning of this new mindset, and this was like 2002, and I was a very hacky comedy magician, like doing lots of innuendos, lots of dick jokes. I was just incredible. My name was a pun. You know, I was doing Bowl-O-Rama, Card and Mouth, Bill and Lemon.
Do you often go back to clubs? You often go back to clubs where you like sign walls and go like, "Why did I have that name? Just incredible."
That's the only Comedy Magic Club's the only wall I ever signed.
The only wall you signed.
Incredible. Okay. And I've not signed it as Justin Willman. I've just let that be. But that's, I mean, performing at the Comedy Magic Club, like that was big. Because when I first moved to LA, it was like, wow, a club that has magic in the name, that is like a well-respected place where the great comics perform. It was like a huge thing and a huge goal.
I remember watching Harry Anderson do his special there when I was a kid.
Yes.
Hello Sucker was filmed at the club. And then you walk in there and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the place. This is where it all happens.
It's special. It has a smell to it.
It has not a bad smell.
It has a smell. Yeah.
They have good
the castle has a smell that's not always a great smell.
Not always pleasant.
The Comedy Magic Club has some sort of a smell. But I would do open mics and stuff with him around town. We did a show at the Ha Ha Cafe. We kind of like took over. We kind of had our own night where you didn't get paid, but you kind of get to promote it, and you kind of fill the place, and you get to host the show. You know, getting stage time was this thing. So that I kind of overcame this mindset of having to get paid. And I think naturally performing in comedy clubs where you're an anomaly there, you know, kind of gradually the hack of me kind of was discouraged and kind of filtered itself out. And I think I was, because I would watch him and other comics like go up every night, and it would be experimenting and trying new stuff. I kind of like naturally would do the same, because I think us magicians, we also, you know, have this mindset to create an act and do that act, you know, create this routine, and now that's part of your show, as opposed to just once something gets polished and perfect, you kind of start to get sick of it and you want to put something new in.
Right.
And then I, you know, like in LA, I felt like, you know, like I wouldn't have considered myself a comedian as well as a magician until I was maybe in LA for 10 years. Maybe we're talking 2012, 2013, when I would then start doing the Meltdown and whatnot, and just trying to, it was really all by influence of people who I respected and would try to flesh bits out a little bit more. And, you know, surrounding myself with people who would call me out on stupid bits, bad jokes, and, you know, learning the difference between a joke. Just because a joke kills doesn't mean it's a good joke.
Right.
You know? Just because you get a big laugh doesn't mean it's a good laugh.
Yeah, they might be laughing at how bad it is. Yeah.
Hey friends, I hope you're really enjoying this episode with Justin Willman. More coming up right after this. I just want to take a moment and thank all of our sponsors, our producers over at Patreon. That's right. You can go to patreon.com/about-to-break and just show your support of the show. If you enjoy these conversations, if you love that they're free, you want to keep them coming, that really does make a difference. Everyone who's supporting us over there, $1 a month, $5 a month, whatever you can do, we really, really appreciate it, and we'll keep uploading more great conversations. This week, I've got some great shows coming out. We've got some amazing comedians that have been on the show, some great entrepreneurs with some encouragement for this time period. And you can also go over to taylorhughes.com/show sounds to get this royalty-free music you're hearing to use for your live streams. But that's enough talking. Let's get back to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Willman.
The world of comedy has more of a originality when it comes to like your persona and your character and who you are. And in magic, it's funny how often magicians will complain about someone not doing original magic, but then everything about how they perform it, all the jokes they say, their cadence, all of it is like taken from somebody else. Like, so you have someone get up and do a rope trick and they're Michael Finney, and then they put that down. Now they're going to do the cups and balls, and now they're Michael Amhart. Like, they're saying the same jokes, they're saying the same pacing, but in comedy, that doesn't happen as much, I don't think. Or if it does, like, those guys don't survive.
It's a huge lesson that I think, like, that we're not teaching young magicians, not even young magicians, but magicians who are kind of about to go from being an amateur to maybe going pro, is that there's the trick, but then there's the how you do the thing. Mm-hmm. And one of those things should be original. And I think it's more important that the how you do the thing is original, because the trick is, you know, like the people who do really original tricks, but then do it in a manner that feels derivative, I feel like it doesn't do it a service. But yeah, I mean, I'm the kind of guy, and I think you are as well, that loves to take a classic and something that's tried and true and just put a spin on it. And that makes it feel new. And then you do it in a new way, and people think you're a genius.
We've never seen this before. Mm-hmm. And it's something that's like, you know, book that's 100 years old.
Right.
That's one of the things with magic too, that I think magicians for years have said comedy, they almost act like comedy is easier than magic, because magic requires some technical rehearsal, some dexterous thing that you have to do. But the reality is, like, there's no like penguin magic for comedians. It's like, here's 400 premises every day. Take any one of these and build something out of it. So I don't know. I've just, over the last couple of years, had more of a material is expendable idea that comes from comedy that doesn't exist in magic. Like you were saying, guys will get an act and they're like going to do that 45 or an hour for the rest of their life.
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, when you're trying to have an original comedic voice and also do good magic, it's twice as hard. You're trying to master two things. It's like the trick, the magic, the technical part has to be kind of honed and locked in before you even then get on stage. And then that's where the real work starts, I think, is when you're finding the laughs. What is this bit about? Yeah, it's hard.
You've done something. I know that. I'll have moments where I'm super encouraged, where I'm like, this is great. Like, look how much family time we're spending together. Like, we're having meals around the table. I'm not having to get on a plane to go to work. This is great. And then, like, literally an hour later, I'll just be like having a dark moment of the soul. Like, what is happening? Will we ever do this again?
I miss applause.
What was your last show? Where was your last time on stage?
It was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, for Gilda's Laugh Fest Comedy Festival. I did a weekend where I did Kansas City and Grand Rapids. And that was just kind of when things were starting to feel weird. You know, I had meet and greet after each show. And I asked the venue just to kind of, you know, like, that we do elbow bumps and stuff like that, and try to space everybody out, have my sanitizer handy. Cause, you know, you touch a lot of people at a show, you know, and I would feel terrible if I was the giver of the bad bug to everybody. So, and, you know, I remember the flight home, you know, like you started seeing lots of masks and wiping everything down. It felt like something's happening. Yeah.
I did. My last show was at the Castle, and I had no idea. Like, I walked out, it was the Peller, and, on
a Sunday night,
man, I walked out Sunday night, and then I was supposed to be in North Carolina on Wednesday, and on like Tuesday morning, the whole world shut down. Like, it was the weirdest. Yeah. It was just weird, man. But even that weekend, like, we were joking about it, you know, at the Castle, but I was also like, oh, that guy coughed. Now I'm in the show thinking about, why is that guy coughing? What's going on with this guy?
And we, you know, like, I feel like for comics, you know, their concern is really just, how do I have the audience be safe from one another? But like, for what we do, like, I maybe have 2 bits in my show that it's just me solo on stage, but everything else, it's with people. And it's like, you know, intimate. I mean, like, there's touching things, check this out, do this. Yeah.
Here's a bunch of pieces of paper, touch them and hand them back, you know?
Exactly.
I've got Post-its on the wall. In January, I taped a special, and it's like all my favorite bits I'm going to do. So whenever that comes out, I'm not going to do that stuff. So I've been writing a new show, but now I'm like, that involves 4 people. That one's coming off the list. Like, trying to think through, you know, preparing, like, can we do a show? Can you do an hour with nobody on stage as a magician? Like, it'd be interesting.
It's going to be interesting. Cards across. That'd be a fun,
Yeah. Right.
non-touching trick. But how did the special taping go? At Typewriter.
It was good, man. It was good. That venue is so sweet. They're like so the best people.
Yeah,
Jamie and Vanessa, and the stage is just gorgeous. So yeah,
It's a big stage. So rare to find like a big stage, but a small room.
Right. Yeah. And they've really done it well. Like the curtains they put in, like everything is it's so classy. It's not I'll show you. I'll send you a link to some stuff. We're getting there on it. I'd love to get your idea. You know a thing or two about putting magic on TV? Talk to me about humans, man. I use you as an example all the time because I say that magicians, our business model, and especially now this is interesting, but like magicians have a business model of borrowing an audience. Like most magicians never get their own audience. They need like, Coca-Cola to hire them to come work for their thing, which is where like my world is. Like 80% of it is performing for other people's people, right?
Right.
You have done such an amazing job of doing what comedians do, like curating an audience and connecting with individuals who like what you do. And they just want to see you do your thing. So if you put out a show, they're going to come to it. If you put something on TV, they're going to watch it. Was that an intentional thing, or was that just part of like, as you got more in this world of comedy, you kind of went the route that a lot of comedians do? Or was it like a decision that you made of like, I don't want to always have to do shows,
Yeah, well, I think I definitely, like the people I try to like model my goals in terms of like building the career and, what that looks like are, people like Jim Gaffigan or, people like the great comics who could never, if they were never on TV again, they could tour forever with their audience and their fan base. And, they love what they put out into the world. I think for years I would, when I was doing colleges, which is a fun way to, because you're also borrowing an audience for colleges. They are advertising you, but you're free. And, people they go because it's happening. But I think when I was doing colleges, I treated it as if I wasn't borrowing an audience, and I tried to hold on to those people as much as I could. So like for a year, I tried to build that fan base and, keep in touch with them, etc. So I think by having the practice of pretending like that they are there to see me and treating them that way and keeping in touch with them, it was good practice for eventually, when people would have to pay, buy a ticket to come see me. But when I first started touring comedy clubs, like I was really fortunate to be able to like skip the kind of, host or feature segment just because of a couple like miraculously like Cupcake Wars as a credit, even though I wasn't funny or magic on that show. Like having a credit for a show that people have seen just makes them feel at ease buying a ticket to see you. Oh yeah, I do know that guy.
Right.
The power of them knowing you from something is huge, and so that was kind of like a big jumping off point. But now like I think it was always hearing early on that Copperfield really treated his specials as infomercials for his tour, and that made so much sense to me. Because the all the TV, all those things that you are still powerless over manifesting those opportunities, but you can exploit them to build your touring business, which up until recently is the one thing that we do have control over. And you do have a direct line to those fans. So yeah, I'm really proud of that. That's still like the most surreal thing, is being able to sell tickets. I mean, it's hard. Like there's some cities where it's really hard and sometimes embarrassingly hard to sell tickets, and other cities where I can't believe that it's going as well as it does.
Because you were touring before Humans came out, but then once Magic for Humans came out, was there a massive, was it just like a different world as far as like theater sizes you were doing or the amount of people that would come out?
I remember the first weekend of shows after the season 1 came out, I was doing the Arlington Draft House. And nice. I think like ticket sales were like, okay, for a couple weeks. And then the show came out. And I think I then was my shows there were a weekend, maybe 2 weeks after the show premiered. And I just remembered like there was a line, the shows like were selling out. And then people kind of look at you different and, they kind of recognize you differently. And also when you walk out on stage, like kind of just the, oh shit, it really is him, kind of enthusiasm was so weird and surreal. And that's, I think, when I first knew that, like, oh wow, man, the power of Netflix, the power of just being able to be in people's homes like that was huge. But what's interesting is that because people can binge your show and all in a night, they become rabid fans for a couple weeks or a month or two, but then they're binging and becoming rabid about something else. So you kind of have to like grab them as quick as you can because they've moved on. So I did notice this, like, a very rapid, taper off in those sales. So that's why you kind of have to keep pushing it out. It's interesting compared to, I'm sure, someone who's got a show on every week, and it's kind of always something new in front of them.
I want to ask, because I feel like whenever someone in the industry gains a certain level of success, there is this kind of idea that people have of like, oh, they're lucky, or they just got this break, that old idea of, well, they got the break. They went on the Tonight Show, and now Lance Burton's got, a Vegas run. But that doesn't exist anymore. Like, you've had to build, or
like
this
David
thing.
Blaine. Oh, well, he's friends with Leonardo DiCaprio, so that's why he's successful.
Yeah. We tend to we want to, like, a magic community, we want to build people up until they get to a certain point, then we want to tear them down for some reason. Was there ever a moment for you, like, while you were doing this, that you questioned, like, why am I doing this, or you debated, like, maybe this isn't the right route to go, or did you always know you were, like, on track?
I remember there was, I think 2004 or 5, I've been in LA for a couple of years, like I kind of booked a commercial right after I got to LA. So I felt like, all right, got some heat, we're doing it. And then there was nothing for a while. And I was like auditioning a lot for random hosting things and some acting things and just nothing. And I was doing kids' birthday parties. Which, was off to a great start. And then it kind of started to slump, and I was, having to borrow money from my parents for a couple months in a row. And I remember thinking, like, maybe, that was the only time I remember thinking maybe I'd move back home, or maybe this is not, maybe I should look into other avenues in show business, not knowing what they were. But I think I was, I was also, kind of like mixed in with a weird partying crew and kind of, doing drugs and hanging out, and had my priorities all mixed up. But I'm glad I didn't succumb to that. But because I think not knowing what else I would do is what saved me. If I had something else in the pipeline, or like a fallback. I mean, I did get a degree in broadcast journalism. I remember thinking, maybe I'll try to be the funny weatherman. Maybe I'll cut a weatherman reel or something together. But, like, where do I even begin with that? So the thing that saved me was not having a fallback. I mean, and then you were mentioning kind of like the magician, support group, but also the jealousy. I think a lot of that comes from the fact that in comedy, so many great famous comedians, music, so many bands that you can be a fan of. But I feel like in magic, where magicians especially think that there's like 3 slots, for the big ones, and they're taken. You got your Copperfield, you got your Chris Angel, your Penn and Teller, your Blaine. It's kind of like there's only room for a couple household names magic wise. And luckily that's changing now. But I feel like because there are so few slots, that's why we get feels like magicians get a little cutthroat when someone's on the cusp.
Right. Not enough room for me.
But I remember when Blaine came out, even that, like, I was like a junior in high school, and I couldn't see the forest for the trees. And I was like, this guy's doing Bite Out Quarter. Yeah. He's doing Ambitious Card. I do those. Why this guy? I don't get it.
He's doing it. He's looking back, very monotone. He's just like, he's not even dressed up. I wear a suit.
Yeah. But looking back, I'm like, oh, of course, like what he was doing was revolutionary. How this was shot, like I just missed it. Like the fact that I was a magician blinded me to so much about what was really happening here. So I try to keep that in mind, that I don't know as much as I think I do, and maybe don't judge so quickly.
Yeah, it's been funny doing the edit for my special. I'm realizing, because I was always the guy too that was like, you Blaine cut this, and you kind of cheated with doing this or that. Like I was that guy. And now I'm like, well,
you're trying to give an audience viewing in this like flat 2-dimensional experience, the same experience they would have if they were there.
Yeah.
You know, and if you can, like, if the person that was there feels the same way that the person does seeing it on TV, great. But there are those guys who are just like, nah, that's cheating because he didn't do a pass for real or whatever.
I mean, people who are like, it's edited, and it's like, well, listen, if you watched it unedited, you'd see 2 tricks in a half an hour, and you would be bored to shit, and you would not want to watch that. Yeah. We have to serve so many masters. Yes, we have to like not cut when it's important to not cut, but it's like, the editing and the pace is what creates, I think, that makes the show like candy to watch, and I'm sure cutting the special. I mean, you're a brave man, because it's hard for me to watch myself on stage.
It's so awful.
Like when I'm overseeing the edit for Magic for Humans, like I have the gift of being able to, I'm watching on screen Justin, maybe it was 4 months ago, it's not so fresh in my mind. But I've learned to have to watch and edit myself as if just that guy on screen is a different person, like I have to be impartial and I hate that person sometimes. I'm like, why the hell did you say that? This guy's an idiot.
Or if you would have done this, if you would have just not had your hand up so high, then this whole thing would have been usable,
Yes. Yeah. Or like, why do the reveal? Like because it's like, Justin, get to, this trick could have been, this magic moment could have been 6 seconds, but instead it's like 25 seconds because I'm vamping. I had to hear myself talk and say more stuff.
Even though you're chopping stuff down, there's a certain point where you can't edit. Like if you cut away here or you do a jump cut or whatever, all of a sudden it's not magic anymore because you could have just done something. So how are you anticipating with season 3 coming out? Potentially while this is still happening, what does that look like? You have any ideas of how you can, because normally season 3 would come out, you'd be doing a bunch of shows, you'd be on tour, right? Have you anticipated a little bit of like, things that can be done in the meantime or in this?
Well, I'm still going to try to make the rounds digitally here and kind of promote the show a little bit. It's funny because I've learned, with Netflix, there's no use in promoting it before it's out because they can't, you want to promote it when people can immediately go watch it. Right. And, but the, like the Netflix server, the whole algorithm, this thing like kind of advertises itself, so like you kind of don't, you have to trust the algorithm a little bit just to do what it does. But I think season 2 came out right at the beginning of December. I feel like it might have gotten a little lost in the Christmas shuffle, like it was a crazy time. And I think it caused people to like maybe watch an episode or 2, but life's very busy then. So maybe they don't get back to it for another month or 2. So I am looking forward to hopefully people craving this escapism. Like I think it'll be a great time to come out May 15th. Let's hope it's not like literally coming out the day that people are released from their homes.
I was going to say, like, it's like if you live in Seattle and it's a sunny day, all of a sudden everybody's gone. Nobody's at home.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't want that to happen.
But there's a couple bits, it's like looking back, I've got like a little spreadsheet just with all the bits in each episode. And you're kind of thinking like what really plays different now with our climate the way it is, like we have a new interstitial bit called Close-Up Magic where I'm like, hey, how's it going? I'm Justin. Nice to meet you. Do you want to see some close-up magic? Sure. And then I step in and I get like
right up on them,
like inches away from their face and do a trick right there. That I hopefully will be extra funny because of what's going on now. But I didn't think it would read as such it's now controversial. It's like dangerous. What a rebel.
Who is this guy?
Yeah, I'm excited.
So May 15th is the day. That's when it comes out?
May 15th. Okay. Some of my favorite stuff. Yeah, that's I think people will like it. I'm excited.
Have you, obviously, you kind of wait and see. Because season 2 and 3 got picked up at the same time. Is that right? Around the same time?
Yeah.
So kind of see where this goes next. Like, can we look forward to a season 4 or?
I think we'll see what the numbers are for season 3. I mean, Netflix tends to often, they do season 1, season 2, and then, it's rare that they do a season 3. So I was lucky they kind of banked 2 seasons in a row.
Right. Yeah.
I would like to do more of them. I mean, it's a lot of work. I'm sure Nick Paul's told you. I mean, like especially doing 2 seasons back to back, because we have to.
You're on location.
We're on location where, like there were times where where I was shooting bits for season 3, but also editing season 2. So I was like in the van getting makeup between ones and like recording a voiceover on my phone. So my head, I was very, I think if anything, hopefully it helped me get out of my head, quit not overthink stuff as much for season 3.
Yeah.
And, hopefully it kind of feels a little more just less forced, sometimes when you have too much time to think about a bit and overthink it and meticulously craft the edit, you kill the magic. So
yeah, that's good, man. That's really good. Well, we're looking forward to it. Anything else you want to plug? Anything you want to let people know? I mean, you got any shows coming up? Where can we see you, Justin?
I wish I was I had high hopes when this all started to find, I'm sure just like you've got a couple of those cards on the board, these routines that you're like, all right, I gotta spend some time figuring out what this bit is about. And I've done just zero writing on existing stage stuff. I've been shooting the stupid videos with my son. That's been really fun.
Those are hilarious.
What is coming up?
Doing magic lessons for your 19-month-old.
Magic, exactly. He's not
so
fan.
Good.
He's not a fan.
So good.
But trying to I made a magic kit that I've been selling to help raise some money for COVID relief, and people have been liking that. That's one of the things I've always wanted to, I've always wanted to make a magic kit, but you just kind of never have the time to stop everything and say, okay, what goes in this thing? How can I make a kit that's a kit that I would have loved to get when I was 10? So it was nice to finally get around to that. But I think, all these other little side, the to-dos, I want to write a script about that, or maybe let's make a cartoon. These things that you just never get around to. They're on your back burner for years. It's a time to finally put them on the front.
That's good, man. Yeah, I've picked up a lot of projects. Just I haven't accomplished much with them, but I've revisited old notebooks and been like, oh, that's right. That was something I really wanted to do, but I was like, I don't have time because I'm traveling around. So it's a perfect time. I think we're going to see some really creative stuff come out of all of this nonsense.
Yeah, I hope so. And I hope that people, I think that, sure, the brilliant comedians, if George Carlin was still alive today, I would love to see his hour of material about the coronavirus. But I feel like I am not, no one needs to hear, commentary on that from me. I think our role will be escapism. And I think people want to get back to fun and laughs, togetherness. And I feel like that's what we're here for.
That's so good. Dude, thank you for taking the time to do this.
My pleasure, dude.